Hi, my name is Brittany J. Jones. In this video, I will be demonstrating how to stitch in the ditch. Stitching in the ditch is one of my favorite ways to close up waistbands, plackets, sometimes even collars depending on the garment. It gives you a really beautiful finish on the inside of your garment if you prefer machine sewing over hand sewing. So let's go ahead and do a stitch in the ditch. To demonstrate a stitch in the ditch, I'm going to be using this fabric here. You will see stitch in the ditch at different places in your pattern instructions. I see it a lot of times when you are attaching a waistband and you need to close this inside folded area over the seam. You'll also see it in plackets, along facings. So there's different areas in your pattern instructions where you will see the word stitch in the ditch. When you see it, this is what you'll be doing. As you can see here along the inside, I have folded up my seam allowance and I have placed that right over the seam. So again, if you're making a skirt and this is the waistband, or some pants and this is the waistband, then you would fold up your seam allowance according to your instructions. And when you fold it over the seam to get ready to stitch it in the ditch, you want to make sure that this folded area is going just a hair past your seam. Once you have it folded and pressed, then you can go ahead and put your pins in. For the pins, we place our pins along the right side of the fabric, like so, going through right into the seam and making sure that we catch the folded edge along the inside. So again, you're going to grab your pin and you're pinning right into your seam here. And you're making sure that your pin is going through the folded edge on the wrong side of the fabric. And you just continue pinning that way for the remainder of your garment. So the key here is to make sure that you have it folded and pressed so that it just goes a little bit past your seam. Continue pinning. Now that we have it all pinned, we can go to the sewing machine. We will backstitch at the beginning of our stitch, and you just want to make sure that you're keeping your needle right here in between this waistband and your fabric for your garment, stitching right in the ditch, making sure that you are catching this inner fold on the inside of the garment while you are sewing. Let's go ahead and do that now. I've just completed my stitch in the ditch. Because I'm using contrasting thread, you can see my stitch, but if you are using coordinating thread to your fabric, you will not be able to see this stitch. So this is what it looks like on the right side of the fabric. You can see my stitch right here going across, stitching right into the ditch. And on the inside, this is what it looks like here. A stitch in a ditch is one of my favorite ways to finish off a waistband or placket or anything that folds over and needs to be tacked down. But there's also many other ways that you can do it, especially by hand, if you prefer to do slip stitching. I hope you've enjoyed seeing how to do a stitch in the ditch.